What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Getting the Cashflow Game with K and K. But today, there's only one K. It's Kenny. Anyways, I wanted to jump right into it. Jarvis had me on his podcast. He was on before. He is the morning hero. Remind you, if you are struggling getting your ass out of bed, setting your day up for success, your week, your month, your year, reach out, find Jarvis. His contact information, I'm guessing, is all over this stuff. I'm sure it's in the links and all that stuff. Anyways, but Jarvis wanted to interview me. We basically talked about morning routine. We talked about mindset. We talked about working with your spouse. I think we talked about kids. And then we talked about probably philosophy of building wealth, money, and stuff like that, which I always typically do. But it's a cool interview. He's interviewing me, so yeah, you're gonna have to hear me talk and answer a bunch of questions. So, but I'm sure there's a couple of nuggets. But like I said, check out my man Jarvis, morning hero. He's really helped a lot of people that I know, and so he's an inspiration to me. He kind of quit the corporate world and then just did his own thing. This is literally his passion. So that's why he had me on, because we actually met. Jarvis and I, quick story, we met downtown University Club, and then we're like, we should get together. And then I texted him one time and said, you want to go work out at Orange Theory in Bankers Hill? I think we worked out at like 5 a.m. He got there early, and then I was like, hey, you want to run the stairs downtown at 5 a.m.? And that started kind of a whole trend for him. It ended up starting to people coming to join us. There was a couple of people, then it turned into a lot, and so he's carried that legacy on. I don't make it down there ever, because of family and kids and commitments, but he does Saturday mornings at 7. So if you're up and you run around the stairs, go ask for Jarvis. Blame me. Kenny sent me and he said, get my ass into shape. Josh Trainer down there to help out. So anyways, without further ado, it's me.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Hero's Journey. I am your host, Jarvis, the morning hero, and today I have a very special guest, Kenny Simpson. You know, the whole point of the Hero's Journey is to document the experience of people that have done extraordinary things in their wealth, their health, their finances, and we want to peel the onion back and uncover what are the principles, the habits, and routines that they do that set them up for success. And today I'm honored to be here with Kenny Simpson. Kenny is CEO of the Simpson team, which is a mortgage firm which helps people buy 1 to 4 unit complexes as well as residential lending. Kenny's built a successful business, all while also being a father of 2, having a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and a successful marriage. And he's just an amazing guy. I'll kind of give you a little bit of background on Kenny. I met Kenny running the stairs at the convention center. Every morning we would get up at 5 in the morning. And when I first started, becoming the morning hero, I would try to get people on this crazy journey with me. Like, who wants to go wake up at 5 in the morning and go get a workout in? And Kenny was the very first person that took me up on that offer. And together for about a year, we met at the convention center and ran stairs at 5 a.m. In the morning. So that's a little bit about our history. He truly is a morning hero. And today I want to understand, how did what is the things that allowed you to get such explosive growth as a person? So with that being said, today I want to welcome Kenny. What's up, my man?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Good, man. We've come a long way from the stairs, huh?
I know. We used to be, we might have been married, not married, might have had no kids then. So
yeah,
life's changed.
Life's changed. How's life changed for you since then?
Honestly, life's changed, just, I think, maturity, Yes, you bring kids in the picture and you get married, but honestly, for me, it's just, as I get older, thank goodness I'm getting more mature. And that's because I think I focus on, as we were talking before, I just focus on trying to improve a little bit every day,
Yeah.
And I think when you focus on those little tasks, sometimes you have leaps and bounds, sometimes you have setbacks, but overall, moving in a forward, motion. And just, I always tell people, when some people are down and out in their life, I go, look, sometimes you just have to stop and look back. Where were you 6 months, 1 year, 3 years? And if you and I are sitting here and we go, okay, at 5 a.m., we're running the stairs, and you look back and you come forward to this point in your life, look at what you've accomplished,
Yeah.
Kids, father, you bought a house, maybe you got real estate, your business has grown, you've changed things in your life, maybe you took some great trips, you met some new friends, and then you sometimes get a perspective like, wait a minute, what am I complaining about? My life's really not that bad.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Walk us through a little bit of your journey. You talk about, you've matured a lot over the years. A lot of things have changed. Walk us through some of that journey, maybe some of the pitfalls and some of the things that have led to you being able to kind of get to where you are now.
Yeah, I probably don't talk about this much, but I think it's good. So when I met Krystle, 2009, let's call it, I was, we're in a recession. Financially wasn't doing good, mentally wasn't doing good. And so I was kind of lost, not sure what I was going to do, but just didn't have confidence in myself, right? And so when I look back at that time, that was I think, a guy like Ed Milet will say there's probably 5 or 6 pivotal moments in your life that really make a change. That was one of them where I basically said to myself, like, what am I doing? I need to make a change here. And it was really what I realized. It was like a boy was becoming a man. And it wasn't just a change with business. It was also a change as like relationships with people around me, friends, families, even Krystle, how I handled things. So I think how I got to here, and I always tell people, like, it is mindset, but it's like how I've approached and handled things in my life. And I think, like, was I being mature about it? Was I really being focused on it? Was I taking it serious? So, and I always tell people, if you want change and you want to mature and grow in life, then you really got to start getting serious about the things you want to change, right? As you know that. So one of the things I changed is like, I need to start getting up earlier. I need to get my day started. And instead of entering the day in chaos or something, I need to enter the day on my terms. Right?
Yeah.
So,
I love the way you phrase that. Enter the day in chaos, or am I going to enter the day on my terms?
Yeah. And so what that looks like is whether you get up at 4 or 3:30 or 5, you and I know that really doesn't matter. Yeah. What matters is that you and I decided to get up, and it's about us. Whether you get us for an hour, 2 hours, whatever. And my morning is usually impacted by exercise, is impacted by whether it's meditation, it's impacted by feeding myself to learn something new every day. So a lot of it's podcasts or interviews, and if I want to learn something. And so when I come back, showered, and my kids get up, I've already gotten maybe 1 to 3 hours of, like I said, me time. Yeah. And that is very impactful. And like I said, that might seem small, but over time, as you know, that starts to make big dividends, and it starts to have huge payoffs.
Huge dividends. I mean, we've talked about this before, about how like the most common mistake I see people do is that they just wake up right into, like you said, the chaos. They wake up right into needing to deal with family, or right into, the stress of work and emails and all that. And they never have that buffer zone for themselves to get themselves squared situated. So like having that 1 to 2 hours, like for me at least, that saves my marriage. Like,
yeah.
Because if I don't have that time, like I wake up right into kind of the stress of everything. And then now me and my wife are bickering with each other. Now, we're making big deals out of small deals, right?
Yeah.
Like everything starts to pile on top of each other unless you've had that time for yourself to decompress, for you to feel like you've done something for you first. Now I can kind of go serve everyone else. So I think that's huge. That's
yeah.
huge.
And I think for me too, the other thing I do is, it's just who I am, is I look out. So if I have a goal, and look, a goal could be anything. A goal could be like, hey, I want to go run a half a marathon within 3 months, and then you back into that. A goal could be, I want to save $100,000. A goal could be, I want to buy a car, I want to buy a house, I want to go on a family trip, whatever it is I always look out and I go, where do I want to be? And then I come right back to where I am, and I go, what does that path look like to get there? And then I go on it. And sometimes I'm like, could I go there faster, and how can I do that? So that's what I do. And we were talking before just about marriage and relationships. And another thing that's been impactful is when we had kids, I said, okay, we're going to have 1 kid, 2 kids. And I've looked and I observe, I watch people a lot. And I go, okay, these people are happy in marriage with kids and these are not. What's the difference? And the common denominator is good communication. They were getting their quality time with themselves, their kids, and individually. These people were kind of living in chaos. It's like, hey, my son wakes me up every day at 7. I jump out of bed to my son, Dad, I'm hungry, I want food. I'm like, could you imagine that? Now you get up.
Oh my God.
That's how you're ending the day.
Yeah.
And so
I'd be pissed all day long.
Yeah, these people are like, I'm coming back home from a bike ride, a run, a surf, or whatever. And I've already, got some time in and I get to deal with my kids. So I think it's just little decisions like that make a huge impact. And if you haven't done it or tried it, you'd be really surprised of what that does. And that really does come down to its maturity, to really have enough maturity to understand that what are we doing this for, right? And like I said, what the goal is.
And you and your wife have a special situation because you guys actually work together.
Yeah.
Both of you guys run the Simpson team together. We're actually here in your offices right now. Beautiful office, by the way.
Thanks.
And so I'm sure that adds a whole nother layer of dynamic because you guys are actually together all day long, right?
Yeah. So that's funny because how that works is people ask, like, so you guys live together, you're always together, you have kids together. Obviously, when we're here, she does commercial, I do residential. So we're not, like I tell people when we're here, it's not a different relationship, but it is a different relationship. We're in work, we're in business, and we go home. We were the people before kids. We were working because we ran multiple businesses. We were working 80, 100-hour weeks. And we looked at each other and said, we cannot do this and have a family. That's why we ended up selling our management business. But, so people are like, how do you deal with this? And I said, because we had marriage counseling, we had counseling. And I tell people, like, look, I might be good at some things. I'm not good at everything. So when I'm not good at it, I either pay somebody that's really good at it to tell me how to be good at it, or you hire a coach. So for us, we realized that we really had to get with a counselor and a third party. It wasn't that, oh, you guys were all screwed up. We're like, no, but when we need to make a decision, whether it's business, family, whatever, we need to be able to come together where it's impactful, not be impactful where it's negative, So once again, I feel like it's dealing with stuff in chaos or dealing with stuff coming together. And look, nothing's perfect, but at the end of the day, what worked for us is we're going to be here. This is going to change. So if we're going to be the most impactful, and the total relationship is we need to be able to communicate with each other and be transparent where it's not, and not, let's sweep it under the rug and deal with it later, because that doesn't work.
No, it just piles on top of each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important concept. I don't want to gloss over what you just said about understanding your strengths and understanding where you need help, and then hiring someone like either a therapist or a coach or finding a mentor, someone who is successful in that thing, and then being vulnerable and say, hey, I need help there. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, especially, as entrepreneurs and business owners, you kind of have this bravado, like, look at what I can do. And there's this pride and ego that I don't need help, or like you're less than if you need to seek help. And I think what you just described, this mindset of, no, it's not that I'm less than, it's actually I'm becoming better, right? Yeah. And I think that's what separates some people, is that they're not scared to ask for help when they need it, right?
Yeah, so I joined a mastermind, which you never did. I have been part of a mastermind this year, and that's really changed my life too. And I'm around, very, very successful people. Some people are known, whether they have a TV show or, they have a big online presence, or they're just known as, big brand or a big business guy. But when I got around these people, the common thing was too, is that they all had mentors. They all had coaches. They all had help. And guess what? Even if they're billionaires, they still are part of groups where they're learning from people that are worth 10 billion and I'm worth 1 billion, right? Or whatever. Yeah. So I think people don't understand is that investing in yourself could be one of the best investments. It's totally. Like for what you do is somebody's like, man, I'm struggling with my day. And you're like, well, why don't you give me 90 days, Jarvis the Morning Hero, and let me set your day up and watch how I can change your life. Yeah. And it's people like, it seems that simple. You're like, but it really is that simple. It's just changing things, right? So I think it goes back to like, is there tricks? Is there secret? And it's really, if you look at a lot of these successful people, it's really is they've learned from other successful people. Yeah. And it could be some guy could be, have a great business, but he's out of shape. Mm-hmm. You can find a good trainer. Some guy, I've done podcasts where we did one with David Meltzer, if you remember, right, Monty? And he's like, oh, I just hung up the phone and I was doing a coaching call with a billionaire. And he's not a billionaire. This guy's maybe worth, 50 million. That guy's a billionaire. You're like, wow. Right. Exactly, because what I'm giving this guy, the billionaire needs. So everybody needs something, right? So totally. I think people think, oh, those people are successful. They got to figure it out. They don't need to do anything. That's not true. And I always remind people, Mike, LeBron James spends $1.5 million a year on keeping his mind, body, and soul up to par so he can play at the level he does.
Right.
That's a lot of money. There's a reason why
Yeah.
it does it, because it works.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, like investing in yourself is the best investment you'll ever make. You know, it's not Amazon, it's not Tesla, it's not Apple stock.
Yeah.
Like yourself is the actual best investment you could ever make. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why we kind of take that morning to listen to podcasts and to fill our soul, right? Because that time is the time you're using to invest in yourself every day. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
What would you say are some of the other things that kind of help you on your path?
I think one of the big things for me is because we have our podcast and we're known for is obviously our big thing in life is building wealth and money. So I've done loans for 17 years. We've done a couple $1 billion of loans. So what I've been able to do is I sit back and I just see people. I see people's financials. I see people how they deal with money. So I've got to see every walk of life. And I just watch how people manage money, which is something different because you can just look by a credit report, a tax return, and things like that, how people are doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give me your income, your assets, all this, and see whether they make this much, this much, this much. But I always tell people it's what it comes down to is it's your relationship with money. That's really what it is. Like we just talked about, you know, somebody gets a big commission check. They're like, man, I want to go buy something reward. But sometimes it's like, they want to just show like I'm successful. So I got to have the watches, the cars, this, right? I look at success and that a little bit differently. So once again, it's maturity. It's that none of that stuff really matters to me. Krystle and I, our goal is, you know, we buy multifamily property because we want cash flow. So one of the things that's helped me in life is so whether it's I get up in the morning, I know I need to do to impact for my family, but I also am like, how do I deal with my money? And so what I've learned with the maturity of my money is when I make $1 or $100 or $50,000, whatever the number is I always tell people, if you don't have a plan for your money, you'll have a plan for you. So as everybody knows, right? Especially in the world we live in. So I just know my plan for my money is, you know, make money to make, live my life, enjoy my life, but save as much as I can. And when I save enough, go buy another building. When I buy, you know, building, I get cash from it and it's very impactful. So another thing in life, I think that I see people struggle with, it's, you know, there's the family time, the me time, the motivation, all this, but the money thing can really cause a lot of problems in relationship and with yourself.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really how people approach the relationship with money. And we live in a world, like you said, the Amazons, the Netflix, the Teslas, you got to have it now, go get it, hit the button, it's going to show up, buy it, I need it, I want it now. And, you know, that delayed gratification thing's tough.
It is. I mean, it's one of the things that I'm just now starting to be mindful of. I mean, I recently read The Millionaire Mindset by T. Harv Eckert, which is an amazing book. And then from there, reading the Millionaire Real Estate Investor and starting to get into it. And, you know, I feel like I'm late to the game in recognizing that your true wealth isn't measured by income. It's measured by net worth.
Yeah.
And this a paradigm shift. Like you're raised, you go through the system believing that, you know, my salary, my income, like people value themselves on how much money they make. And it's really based on how much do you own? Like how much can you grow your assets? And now that's been a whole shift in mindset. And so now I'm just like you, every you know, month I'm focused on like how can I grow that number? Like, you know, how can we go invest in some properties? Like what can we do to grow our assets? Right?
Yeah, and I tell people there's a way you can test yourself. Like how that I'm like, if you stopped working today, how much money would you earn? And they go, that's a problem. I go, so now flip the switch. Remember, back into it. Yeah. Okay, people call me Kenny. I want to get into real estate investing. Great. What's the game plan? What's this? Basically is ultimately everybody wants to buy real estate for cash flow. That's really what it comes down to. When you nail it down, so I go, great. What do you want to make? $5,000, $10,000 a month? Cool. Now back into it.
Yeah.
And you're backing it. But if you can answer imagine if you can answer a question, I go, okay, I can't answer that question the way I want. Is if I stop making income, I'm broke.
Right.
But maybe in 5 years you can go, 5 years from now, you look back like we talked about, wow, I look back in 5 years, like I made a change in my life. If I stop working, man, I still earn $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
It's saying something, right?
Yeah. So
that's how I kind of look at it. I mean, you know, people read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's the same thing. What you just said is there's the poor dad mindset. It's not, I tell people success, money and all that I don't think it's about money. I don't think it's about having things. I think it's really about a mindset about having of, like I said, is you wake up in the morning, you know what your purpose is, what you're going to do. It's just, but continue that with like, your relationships, your money and things like that,
It's about being intentional. It's
exactly.
just, intentionality applies in every area of life.
Yeah.
Whether it's your business, family time and presence with family, how you manage your money. It's just like you said, if you don't have a plan, then it'll have a plan for you.
Yeah.
And that goes for everything in life. Like,
right. I mean, I
come
think
up with a plan.
Yeah, I think it's like we were talking before about, kids and like just having a plan, like, have that plan like ahead of time. People come to me like, hey, what's the thing about kids? And I'm like, forget raising the kids and that. What's your plan with you and your wife and you? What do you mean? I'm like, well, when are you going to have date nights? Are you going to go on trips? Well, I didn't think about that. I'm like, well, that's what I'm saying is how are you going to figure that out? Who's going to watch the kids?
Yeah.
Do you have to pay somebody? Do you have somebody? You're going to trust the person? Like, you should start thinking about that. Like, everybody's so worried about raising the kid. I'm like, you got to really worry about, like we talked about, your relationship. Because if you don't put that first,
that's right.
It's going to be a problem in the end. Right?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So you guys have a successful marriage. You have a successful business together. You've got 2 toddlers at home, which I'm sure it can be stressful, a lot of work. Like, how do you all keep it together? Like, what's your secret with between you and your wife for you guys to be able to stay strong?
Yeah, look, like we told you, everybody's got their issues. Nothing's perfect. That's what I realized. Like, as much as somebody could look like, well, they got it together. Trust me, we have our struggles. We work together. We live together. We're always together. But we always come back to the same thing: is that if we're off or we're this, it's, am I getting enough me time? Is she getting enough Krystle time? Is she getting, girl time? Am I getting the guy time? Are you getting the time with your kids? So we just made something from before we had kids. I said, hey, we need to have help. And sometimes I think people are like, oh, I'm going to rely on family or friends or this. And it's like, family and friends, they can help, but you're not paying them. They might go on right. Well, wait a minute. What about our date night? Well, hey, I got something come up. So we decided that we would, pay somebody. Like, you pay for help because we want to make sure that we don't, like, I don't want to step over boundaries with family or this or that. So we decided we're going to pay for help because we can afford it. And then based on that, we were able to establish like agreements with help. Like, hey, we want to go on a trip to Napa for 3 nights, 4 days. So if you watch her, we'll give you, a 3-day weekend next weekend or something. We'll let you have Friday off. Cool. Trade. We decided to have help on Saturdays too. It's not because I don't want to spend time. My kids are there. The kids are around the house. It's so I can spend more time with my kids. It's like, hey, I need to get this done and that done. Can you watch the kids for a couple hours? I can run errands to get it done instead of me having to run around all day. What takes 2 hours is going to take 8 hours,
That's smart.
So
yeah.
I just realized like I'm more impactful as a dad if my mind, body, and soul's, on a good level rather than I'm coming home and I'm like, great, I got to watch the kids and I'm in a bad mood and I'm burnt out and overworked. So
I think that's cool that what you talked about is like reinforcing the me time. And I think sometimes you might get the impression like if I'm saying I don't want to be around you that I'm disconnecting, but it's the exact opposite. Like, you need space. Like, you can't be around, no matter how in sync you are with someone. Like, you get on each other's nerves, right? Like, that space apart, like, allows you to come back together stronger. And like with me and my wife, I encourage her to go have her me time. Like, when she comes home from a long day of work, I'm like, hey, babe, I'm going to take Jet to the park. You go hop in the bath. Like, I'll be back in 2 hours. Go take a bubble bath. Go pop in some, the keeping up with the Kardashians that you want to keep. Catch up, whatever it is.
Safe, right?
Right, go do your thing. Let me go take Jet because I know she needs it. That's because then, of course, I'm going to ask for my look. I need my space. Look, I'm going to go do a spin class. I want to go, and that's primarily why I get up so early in the morning so I can have my me time. But that separated, that me time, I think is golden. I think a lot of people don't pay enough attention to, are they getting their me time? Like, are they getting enough time for themselves to really like release the pressure valve? Because if you don't, then you come together, then everyone's just blowing up at each other, right?
Yeah, and I think when you see somebody from a distance that you might not know, whether it's somebody you know on TV or an entrepreneur or whatever, look, they might have their shit together. They still have their drama. But when you see somebody from a distance, you're like, wow, they seem to have it figured out. When you dig down, I guarantee you, they probably got a pretty tight schedule. And that schedule includes me time, family time, wife time, travel time, whatever time, right? And so, but you can't just wake up one day with family and kids and think like, okay, this is just going to happen by snapping my fingers. It's work, right? It's thinking about it. And you know that, right? Like getting up every morning, sometimes you don't want to, but you know, you just have to. So it's the same thing as that. I think so. It's what you focus on, what you put your time in. But I think when we look at people and they're struggling, especially because we're around the same age, we're all having kids, we have a lot of friends, and people are really struggling, and they're like, man. And I ask people, it's like, some people say, man, you guys have too much help. Is that good? And I always laugh, and I go, and I ask these questions. I go, when's the last time you went on a date with your wife? When's the last time you went out of town with your wife? Do you want to ask me the same question? It was last week. I went 2 months ago on a trip.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm going on date night tomorrow night.
Right.
And so they go, and it's not about that. It's like, at the end of the day who cares about everybody else? Are you being the most impactful in your personal life, in your business life, in your family life? It's a struggle. Don't get us wrong. Especially, look, we just went through COVID. We were locked down. If you didn't like the person you're with, you're stuck with them. So you either grew closer together, farther apart.
Yeah.
But then a lot of people, they work from home, and they were like, man, I'm stuck here. They started walking outside. They started doing gardening. They started doing stuff they never do. But what they did is they got some more quality time, and they're forced and pushed to go. It's time to go get out of this house, and you guys start thinking, it's like, what did I used to do? I used to run. I'm going to get back into running, right? I used to bike. I'm going to go buy a bike. I mean, we saw all this happen. So it's how much are people going to, stay in that kind of like, that new change they have. But I don't know. I just really think, comes back to honestly, Jarvis, is like, it's just literally a mindset, and deciding is, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to make a change. And it's a change because it's going to impact my life, my business, my family, my money, my kids, everything, right?
Yep.
And really, it has to start with you as a person.
I love it, man. It's like kind of the formula. If I had to break down the formula that we've been talking about, is wake up early and be intentional with your time.
Yeah.
And then also be intentional with your money. Right? Wake up early, be very intentional with your time. Like, map it out. What's your plan? How are you going to conduct yourself for yourself, for your family, for your business, and then be intentional with your money too. If you had to say there's one more thing that a bit of wisdom, what would you say?
Look at it this way. I always tell people, we make decisions sometimes today because we want it now, in the delayed gratification, right? But I think when you think about things and you go, where do I want to be sometimes in 20 years with my relationship with my wife, right? If you're like, I want to be retired, my kids will be out of the house, I want this. If you want that, but you do nothing about it, it's probably not going to be there.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, where do I want to be financially in 20 years, right? Where do I want to be fitness and all this? So I think if people start looking outward and going, if I do nothing about it, I might be divorced in 5 years, which is impactful to my finances and to my kids, and to my life. And so I think a lot of people is that you got to be willing to do the hard work now. You got to be willing to put the time, effort in. Just like I said, is whether it's going on a date night once a week with your wife, or it's getting up early to get your me time, or like you said, it's going to spend quality time with my son, not with my wife, to give her time and me time with my son. Or it's, I need to be thinking about money different because yes, I'd like that Tesla, the new car or the new watch or clothes, but what is that going to be like in 20 years? And all these decisions we make today are very impactful in 20 years. And that's what I've really learned over time, just with everything. Because if you don't focus on your kids in 20 years, they could be a mess. If you don't focus on your marriage in 20 years, it could be gone. Right. If you don't focus on your money in 20 years, you could continually have to work because you didn't think about it younger, or you started too late, or you're like, man, I really did a lot of dumb stuff.
Right.
And if you don't focus on your life in 20 years, you might be overweight, unhealthy.
You won't have much of a life.
Exactly. So I think what I can leave you as one thought is like, think about the impact of where you want to be in 20 years, but think about the decisions you make today, because that is going to be hugely impactful in all areas of your life.
I love it. I love it. Kind of like you said, back it down. Like, where do you want to be? And then what are the hard decisions? Do the hard things now that's going to produce the result that you ultimately want. Right?
Yep. And it's almost like a delayed gratification with everything, because it's like, it could be, I hate to say that, but it could be like, it could be, if you think about everything, especially with money, it's very easy to, look at.
Totally.
But even with like, if just with everything, if you decide like, I'm going to go kill myself with work for 5 years, but you're like, am I going to have that much more of an impact if I just said, no, I'm going to do this for 5 years of work, but I'm not going to go kill myself, and I'm going to spread it out over time, but, so I think it's just, like I said, it's delayed gratification is a really impactful thing, but I think it kind of comes with everything. Like you just said, it's like, just really think about what you want and really focus on that. And look, we're going to have COVID. We're going to have things like this in life that come in to try to like knock us off course, right?
Yeah.
We always do. But that's just what it is. Like, we're sitting here talking. I mean, we were going to meet last time. I had COVID.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. So I got done traveling. I come back. I'm like, I need to get on my routine. I get COVID. And then basically, then I realized I have to take our kids. So we were working from home, watching our kids, doing everything. And so for the last month, my life has been turned upside down. So I'm sitting here today, like 2 days after this whole month spread. It's like, what did you learn? I learned like it's crazy, but things like this can happen. But it's like, also, I got to get back on track fast. And how fast can you recover from things? How fast can you get back on track to be like, okay, am I in line for these things?
Yeah, and you had a pretty strong foundation already. Like, you had the habits built and the routines to kind of allow you to get back on track much faster, whereas most people, like you said, they kind of just let the day control them. And so they never have a framework of like how to demand what they want out of the day like you do. So, man, you truly are a morning hero. You broke it down, man. Wake up early, be intentional with your time and your money, and then have a plan. Like, determine where you want to be, and then start the plan now. Make the hard decisions and just fucking go after it right now.
Yeah, and honestly, let's be honest. I tell people, it's never been easier. And everybody's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I know everybody thinks life is harder, but I'm like, there's a thing called Google. There's a thing called YouTube.
Yes.
There is. And when COVID hit, it was a curse, but it's a blessing, because what the blessing was is a lot of people that never got on camera, talked or anything, you would see him interviewed on some CNBC for 5 minutes. This money manager never talked. Somebody called him and said, hey, you're locked in your house for a year. You usually travel around, jet set, and you can't go anywhere. Do you mind jumping on a Zoom and doing an interview?
Yeah.
And the guy is like, you get to see people more than ever that are, it doesn't matter what it is. It's a relationship expert. It's a fitness person. It's Jarvis. It's a real estate guy. It's anything you want. All the information, all the data. There's podcasts. There's interviews. There's so much stuff out there that you can invest your time, money in. It could shorten the time.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So it could shorten your time, your goals. And so the pros, the experts, they're probably, you type in Google, you can find it. So it's never been easier to say, I would say, look, start allocating time to hit these goals, but turn off Netflix, turn off these things that are really like sucking your time up and bringing no value. And just when you're not with your family and your time, when you're going for a run, don't listen to music, listen to a podcast, listen to a book on tape. That hour, when you times that by 7 days a week or 5 days a week over a year, over 5 years, will change your life.
Yeah, it's more than a university degree. Yeah, like you can surpass any degree on your own just by self-learning.
Yeah,
right?
And there's so much just great stuff out there right now. It's so, I always tell people, it's like we really have no excuse. So if you want something and you want to change and you're listening to this, you just got to go out there and get it.
Yeah,
it's right there. And if you have to pay for it, if you can, great. And if not, there's enough free information.
Yeah,
there is.
All you need is just the desire. The information is out there if you choose to seek it out. Yeah. Dude, man, this is awesome. Let people know what your specialty is, how you can help them, and where they can find you.
Yeah, so we do residential commercial financing. So I help people, maybe buy their first home, or help people buy their first investment property, or if you have existing real estate 1 to 4, we help you refinance it. That's what I would do. My background is, if whether you're cookie cutter or hardcore, self-employed or real estate investor, and you don't know, I can deal with anybody. I do work with a lot of real estate investors or first-time real estate investors since my background, so I can be very helpful and impactful there. And then to find me, probably the best way is, Kenny B. Simpson on Instagram. You just type me in and probably find my name, but that's it,
Yeah,
So,
you're the only other person on Instagram like me, like posting pictures at 3:45 in the morning doing workouts.
Yeah.
I miss those days, man.
Yeah. So, but hey, thanks for having me on. And it's kind of funny, just like I said, just sitting here thinking about how we met and how life's taken its course, and where we're at today. So I'm stoked for you and excited for your show. And if I can ever be help to anybody, just reach out.
Yeah, Kenny, you're an awesome soul, my man. With that being said, everyone, thank you all for listening. I encourage you to go check out Kenny. Kenny actually just helped us buy our home in San Diego. So shout out to you and Krystle for walking us through that process. It was a very easy process. With Kenny, he is an expert. He knows exactly what he's doing. And for us as first-time home buyers, him and his team really took all the headache out of the whole process. It was effortless for us. So thank you for that. And I encourage you all to go check out Kenny if you're looking for a home or if you're considering investing or for your personal residence. He's a wealth of information. So check out Kenny B. Simpson, the Simpson team. And I'm Jarvis. I'm the morning hero. If you're struggling with, trying to build a habit of waking up early, understanding how to set intention for your life, how to set goals in your finances and your fitness and your family, how to just have a winning routine that's going to lead you to do extraordinary things, then you can check out themorninghero.com. And with that being said, now is your turn. Go out there and do more than you ever have before. Go save the world, and I'll see you guys.